All right. Welcome back to part two of my showcase of the congressional maps that I've drawn. You see, I'm right here on Colorado because that's the next map I want to take a look at. You'll notice that I've done something a little bit unique for this map. I'm not sure if it's any what enthusiasts on either side of the aisle would like, but I personally like it. So this first district right here is Denver itself. I think it's a fair map would have Denver itself in its own district. Um, this map right over here, this district here is Boulder and some of the northern suburbs, a pretty safe Democratic seat, as you can tell by the presidential numbers in 2020. This third district would takes in most of eastern Colorado, kind of wraps around down here to take in also this part of the west. And I believe also located here is right over here is Pueblo County. This is a heavily working class city, but also with a large Hispanic population. Used to be very Democratic, but has swung hard to the right. The county narrowly voted for Trump in 2016, then narrowly voted for Biden in 2020. So um, overall, you've got a pretty conservative district right here, mostly centered in the eastern part of the state. So one of these districts here should be the fourth district, and I believe yes, it's actually this one. This fourth seat takes in some of the more eastern exurbs and southern exurbs of Denver. It's a pretty Republican seat and takes in more of the more Republican leaning parts of the Denver metropolitan area. It is trending to the left, though. If we scroll down here, um, you can see that this district went for Trump by about 19 points in 2016. Then in 2020, if we just scroll down right over here, the district goes for Trump by about a little over 10 points. So that's a swing to the left of about 9 points. So as the Denver metropolitan area continues to grow, this seat could potentially be a competitive one. This is the fifth district, which is centered, as you can tell, on the Colorado Springs area. And it's a bit of a more compact seat than I think some of the other maps have. And and you can really tell just how conservative the Colorado Springs area is. Maybe if we bring up if we can bring up city boundaries and I can kind of show you this. This right here is Colorado Springs, and you can tell right here. Even in 2020, the city itself voted for Trump by 3.5 points. So this is a very conservative urban area in Colorado, and it represents, I think, the base, what was once the base for the Republican Party in the state. And I think there have been trends to the left, like there have been in almost any city. You'll see that, for example, even in places like Oklahoma City and Tulsa, these traditionally heavily Republican urban areas, but even those are also swinging to the left. This district right over here is some of the southern suburbs of Denver, pretty Democratic. Some would like to sort of crack the Denver city itself in order to make these more democratic, but I prefer not to do that. This is like you can see in the seventh district is here to the suburbs to the north. This is a pretty safe Democratic seat. And so you can have a COI type of map that actually has the city of Denver in its own district. And you can and if you really like Democratic gerrymanders for some reason, then these seats right over here will still be pretty Democratic. And finally, this one right here is my new draw for this seat. It's meant to take in some of these suburbs, some of the more western suburbs of Denver, also taking in Fort Collins right over here, but it also takes in a lot of these ski villages. You'll go over here. Right over here is Telluride, which I think is the most progressive town in the entire state of Colorado. I think it went to Biden by like a 7-1 margin. So basically, this is meant to take in a lot of these ski villages as well as some other Republican parts of the state. This creates for a pretty it's a district that votes for Biden by about a little over 10 points, but still there's a shot for Republicans to have it in a wave year. if you look right over here, this is San Miguel County, and right around this area is the town of Rifle, which is Lauren Boebert's hometown. And I guess you can call it out a little bit of spite, but I drew the map like this so that someone like Lauren Boebert would really have to change the way she campaigns in order to get elected here. Someone like Lauren Boebert, I think, would have a hard time running in a district like this that is not that's not that Democratic, but also not Republican. It's a fairly Democratic leaning seat, but with some Republican areas that allow for a Republican to win it potentially. So overall, I do think that a map like this does accurately reflect Colorado's partisan lean. You've got Democratic seats here, 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 and maybe here. Republican seats here, here, and here. So overall, I do think that matches Colorado's partisan lean. Being a somewhat Democratic state now. So, I just wanted to show you guys that map because it's one that I drew a while ago, but as the title implies, I actually do think that this is a fair map. And here is my map of Kansas. And as the title implies, this is a district that is intended to allow for a seat that elects a Democrat while the other three elect Republicans, which kind of reflects the partisan lean of the state. This district right here, is your typical first district that covers the rural parts of the state. If we scroll down here, you can see Trump did really well here. You've got your second district, which is more in the eastern parts of the state, and sort of this area down here is really one of the few parts of the state that you can describe as ancestrally Democratic. And if you're a Chris Kobach type, this is sort of the area of the state you're going to be doing well here. But you can tell, pretty Republican seat. This seat right here, what I've done here is this is Kansas City itself. This is the more Democratic parts of Johnson County. This is Lawrence, and this is Topeka. So all of these Democratic portions of the state are all in here, and that allows for a district that would very much elect a Democrat. But if you look at the governor's numbers, you'll notice that Laura Kelly's biggest overperformance was not here. It was, in fact, here. You can tell this district right here, where Chris Kobach's only winning this district by what, 16, a little over 16, 17 points. That's a huge swing to the left, and it really shows, even with Democrats' coalitions becoming a lot more urban, whenever red state Democrats do end up winning, their coalition does end up including voters out in the rural areas right over here. And this same is also true here. This district right here is Wichita. It's a Wichita-based seat, and you can tell how Republican Wichita is, just by the fact that you have a compact urban seat, and it's still going for Trump by like 19 points. And Wichita is the second largest metro area in the state, and it has swung a bit left, but still, it's a pretty decently Republican seat. And I've actually, I guess I'll show this in another episode, but I've drawn some cube root rule maps. For those who don't know, cube root rule is the idea that rather than fixing the number of seats at 435, you should have the number of seats basically be whatever the cube root of America's population is, and then distribute those seats accordingly. You'd actually have a 6-seat map in Kansas under that map, and you'd have a pretty compact seat within the Wichita area that would be still Republican leaning though. But you notice, so I did Riley County, which is over here. This is Manhattan. You can probably tell that this is in the first district. It's not really possible to draw a district that reaches all the way to Manhattan. It kind of has to stop here at Topeka. Otherwise, it would split this district completely in two, which you really can't do. But this is a district that really is meant to elect a Democrat, and it's one that would probably be a pretty progressive Democrat as well. So for those of you who don't know, Democrats in Nevada tried to gerrymander. Wow, why can't I talk? Democrats tried to gerrymander the Nevada congressional map in order to make all 3 of the 4 seats safe, instead of having one safe seat, 2 competitive seats, and 1 Republican seat. Well, They didn't do a really good job of that, as evidenced by the fact that all three of those districts are potentially on the board this year. But what I've drawn is, what Democrats might want to have done if they were really intent on trying to gerrymander this map. So you can tell right here, this is the first district that's centered, on the Las Vegas metro area, and you can tell right here, this is a seat that Biden wins by about 16 points. Same thing with this one right over in this um, part of the metro area. Actually, yeah, this fourth district also here is pretty decently Democratic, going for Biden by nearly 14 points. And this district right here, this is the third seat, is really what they should shows you what they should have done. This is another Biden plus 16 seat. It takes the northern part of Las Vegas metro area and goes all the way up here to Reno. And if you're really trying to gerrymander Nevada, which is again a Biden plus 2.5 state, that's what you're doing. You're including Reno in this. And as a result, you have this Republican seat that's basically packs as many Republicans as possible into one congressional district. This is a Trump plus 26 seat that basically takes in basically all of rural Nevada, this part of northern Washoe County, that's more Republican, and which, fun fact, is the site of Burning Man. And then you also have this southern portion of Clark County, which is actually more rural and much more Republican. And yeah, that's basically what you got to do in order to create a Republican, in order to create a Democratic gerrymander in Nevada. And so maybe Nevada Democrats would want to take a look at this map if they get a chance to gerrymander again. Now, here's a map that very few people are going to like, but I personally think it actually reflects Georgia's political geography. This is a roughly 7-to-7 map of Georgia that's intended to elect, 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans. So this first district right here is a plurality black seat, basically taking some of these black precincts within the black belt, over here as well. This right over here is Savannah. This over here is Augusta. These are some precincts here. This is Midgeville, which is a college town in this sort of central part of Georgia. And then finally, this is Athens. So you've basically got overall a pretty Democratic seat, and one that would probably elect a pretty progressive Democrat. This district right here is actually a VRA seat that is actually a bit closer, and it does include a lot more. It's much more heavily dependent on African Americans. The Democratic coalition is than you would be in a place like here. This right over here, I believe, is Columbus, and you've got Macon right over here, and then it also takes in some various African American precincts. Over here, I'm guessing somewhere over here would probably be the town of Plains, which is actually either majority or plurality black, and it's Jimmy Carter's hometown, and it did vote for Biden. But this district is actually kind of competitive, and if we scroll down here, you'll actually see Biden wins this district by about 12 points, so it's kind of within reach with the right Republican. Republicans haven't nominated a good candidate for the second district, but there's candidates who could potentially put this into play. It's the third district, as you'd expect. This is a pretty Republican seat. This fourth seat, this is based in DeKalb County. It is the first of several Atlanta seats. This is the fifth seat that's mainly based in Fulton County. In fact, if we look here, most, but not all of the Atlanta Democratic seats are actually going to be VRA seats. Some won't be. You'll see here both this one and this one are both VRA seats. But we go to the sixth district, and it's actually, it is a majority minority seat. It is based in Cobb County, but and it also is Democratic, but it's not majority black like some of the others are. This one right over here is also in a similar boat. It's the seventh district is mainly based in Gwinnett County, and it also includes it is based in Gwinnett County, and it's also a Democratic seat. So you've got so far now 4 Democratic congressional seats in the Atlanta area, but we're not done here yet. This eighth seat is one of the two Republican South Georgia seats, and you can tell here it's pretty Republican, as is the case with this 12th seat. But we're going to get to there in a bit. This is the ninth seat. This is based in northeastern Georgia. This right over here is Hall County and is home to Gainesville. This is actually a pretty Q-aligned seat. It's you can tell by the Republican margins here. A Q can It's actually a majority rural seat as well, I believe. And so, you're going to get a pretty Republican, a pretty hard right candidate get elected here. But then we go over here. This is the 10th seat. This is, again, a pretty Republican seat that sort of wraps around some of these areas here. And then you've got, of course, the 11th seat. This right over here is the 11th seat it includes some of the more exurban parts of Gwinnett County, Forsyth County, Cobb County, and then also this portion over here. You've also got even some parts of Fulton County. I haven't memorized all the county names, but one of these days I hope to. And so you've got a pretty Republican but yet blue trending seat in the Atlanta metro area. And when I say blue trending, you'll see here that Trump did better here. Actually, more than 30. He won the seat by 31 points in 2016, and then he wins it by less than 20 in 2020. Try saying that trying saying that 5 times fast. Wow, why can't I talk? You've got again this 12th seat right here is another downstate seat. This seat, actually, sorry, this is the 13th seat, and this is if we go here, you'll tell this is actually another VRA seat. These are the southern suburbs of Atlanta. I think you've got Clayton. I want to say Henry, Newton, I believe are all here, and then actually no, Clayton, Henry, Newton, and I'm not sure what this one is, but these are all. In fact, you know what? If we turn on precincts, we can actually figure this out here. So I mean, you've got Rockdale. So you've got Henry, Clayton, Newton, and Rockdale, and then you've also got this portion of Fayette, which is a Republican but yet Democratic trending county. And if we look, just over here, Douglas was the name of the county I was trying to think of for the Paulding was actually the one I was trying to think of for the 11th, and Douglas is the one I was trying to think of for the 6th. But anyway, we've got one more district to show you, and that is, if only I can turn the precinct lines off. Yeah, this is the 14th seat. This is a seat that Marjorie Taylor Greene should still be able to win. It is bluer than her current seat, but still, you would expect someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene to potentially be able to win here. She might migrate over here if she doesn't feel like she feels like running in a redder seat. She has migrated before. She actually used to live in Lucy McBath's seat, but she figured she had no chance against her, so she moved here. So I think she's no stranger to moving around. She might move here and potentially run here. Real quick here, I'll just show this map of West Virginia that I drew. Nothing too interesting to point out. West Virginia is one of those two states where we really don't know what the 2020 results were because of mistakes made during, in terms of the allocation of absentee ballots. So, it's not entirely certain how 2020 really shook out. But this first district is coal country, whereas this seat takes in, some of the more urban areas like you've got Jefferson County and Charlestown right over here. One of these counties right here is actually Grant County, and it's the most Republican county in the state. It's been Republican for a long, long time. Wheeling over here, Morgantown over here, Charleston over here in Kanawha County, and then finally you've actually got Huntington right over here, which is the one urban area that I can't draw as part of this seat because there's just not enough people. And the way the state shaped, you also have to take in all of this stuff over here if you want to, make a map that's contiguous. So, that's just a little thing I drew for West Virginia. Similarly to West Virginia, Kentucky is also a state where we really don't know how exactly the 2020 elections really shook out because of mistakes made with regard to allocating absentee votes. But this is a pretty standard congressional map for Kentucky here. You've got this first district mainly based in the west. This is actually this area right over here, this pocket over here, was actually quite Democratic as late as the 1980s, having voted for Walter Mondale. You've got Owensboro right over here being the main urban area in the seat. This seat is the second seat. It's also very Republican. You've got some places like Elizabethtown over here. You've got Bowling Green over here, and then you've got some of this some of this area in southern Kentucky, which is very Republican, which has always been Republican. This third district is not too remarkable. This is your standard Louisville-based seat, and it's obviously safe Democratic, and you can tell here just how well Andy Beshear did here. In fact, if you see some of these other numbers, you can tell just how big Andy Beshear's overperformance, has been in some of these seats. This is the Northern Kentucky-based seat, and just looking right here, Andy Beshear, only losing this district by 8 points, and you can tell, just and it's actually, you can tell here, this Rand Paul actually gets a higher percentage of the vote than Donald Trump here. And these are some of the only precincts that are really Republican down ballot, as opposed to much of the rest of the state, which is Democratic down ballot. But this Northern Kentucky, suburbs right here, these are the suburbs of Cincinnati. Some of the most ancestrally Republican parts, some of the more ancestrally Republican parts of the state are located here. Although, again, in the new age of politics, Democrats, when they win in Kentucky, they're doing well here. This is the fifth district, and this is yet another Q-aligned seat. And you can actually just tell how much Andy Beshear overperformed here. This area right over here is coal country, and Elliott County is actually located right over here. Some of the most ancestrally Democratic parts of Kentucky are located here, as well as some of this area right here, which is more ancestrally Republican. But overall, this is a Q potential seat, a seat that would elect if Hal Rogers were to retire, a Q candidate could get elected here. And then finally, you've got the sixth district, which is a very compact seat. It is Republican, but it's intended to include Lexington. It includes Frankfort, includes Richmond, includes like some of these more urban areas. And it's Jim Gray, who was the Democratic nominee for Senate in 2016. He was the mayor of Lexington, and he actually did, you can see, narrowly won the seat. And Andy Beshear also did quite well here, but for the attorney general race, Daniel Cameron also won this seat. So it is quite a Republican seat because of everything considered, even though Lexington is located here. So this is the map that I drew of Indiana, and it's a little bit different than the one that the legislature ultimately drew, and I'll kind of show you. So first, you've got your standard first district. If we scroll down, we'll see the presidential numbers right over here. And it's a Democratic seat, but it's trending to the right. You see Biden actually wins the seat by about 8.5 points, but you scroll down and look at that. Clinton wins it by about 12 points. So this district is shifting. This is a district that's shifting to the right. This is cities like Hammond, Gary, and East Chicago are all located here. And then you got some of this area to the to east of that as well. I believe this is Porter County. I believe this is part of LaPorte County. This second district is mainly based in I want to say St. Joseph County and South Bend. This is probably the most Democratic part of the district is located here. But the rest of it is quite Republican. I don't know. I don't think you really can draw a Democratic seat around South Bend because the area is just too small and the area around it is just too red. This seat is mainly based in the Fort Wayne area and is also pretty Republican. This district is also based in sort of the western part of the state and is also pretty Republican. If I am not mistaken, I do believe that this is Vigo County right over here, and that Terre Haute would be located here as well. And I think that Tippecanoe County is also located here. and which is home to the city of Lafayette, which is another college town. Both Terre Haute and Lafayette are college towns, so you've got some democratic potential here. Um, but if we go over to this fifth seat. This is actually a bit of an interesting concept I had. It is the suburbs to the north and to the west of Indianapolis, including the northern part of Marion County itself, as well as Hamilton County and some of these suburbs over here. This is a narrow Biden seat, um, and I'll show you how I was able to do that. But it's a seat that Victoria Sparks could win here, but might have a bit of trouble here. This district right here is the sixth district. It's to the east of the Indianapolis area. And there's not much to say about here, but this seventh district is basically downtown Indianapolis. It does include this southern portion of Marion County, which is more Republican, but this is done so that African Americans in Indianapolis have a greater share of the Democratic primary electorate, so they could get their candidate elected. As opposed to if you shifted this district north, you'd have this district would become safe Republican, and the primary electorate would be a lot more white than the one that I have for this map. So overall, pretty interesting district to look at. This is one of the two southern Indiana seats. This actually is an area that used to be potentially competitive in as late as the 2000s. But after Obama got elected, this area swung hard to the right. I think this actually used to be called the Bloody Eighth because of how often it changed hands. But nowadays, it's a fairly safe Republican seat located in safely Republican southern Indiana. And finally, you've got this other southern Indiana seat. I believe right around here is Clark County, which is home to some of the suburbs of Louisville. And overall, this is a pretty safe Republican seat because of some of the areas that are trending pretty hard to the right. Yeah. So this is my map of Indiana. So this right here is a map that I drew of Utah, and it's also intended to get a Democrat elected in one of these seats. Utah actually has a commission that draws the districts, but the legislature, I believe, is free to ignore it. So you've got this first district that really wraps around the other three. It gives you a sense of just how compact Utah's population is within this general area. This is, I believe, I want to say San Juan County, which is home to which is home to, I believe, a large Native American population. And I think this is Grand County, which actually, I believe, narrowly voted for Clinton. No, sorry, narrowly voted for Biden. I think it's home to, I think the population here might not be that Mormon. I think this is a largely secular population because Evan McMullin in 2016, I don't believe, did that well here. So you've got these more rural parts of Utah, plus some areas down over here that are demographically not like the rest of Utah. You've got this second district right here, which is based sort of this northern suburban areas of Salt Lake City area. And so you've got a pretty safe Republican seat. And even in 2020, this where Trump basically recovers with the Mormon vote, but you can still tell this is a pretty you can tell just how much the other Republicans overperform here in versus Donald Trump. And if we scroll down, we can see, look at that. Trump's getting 44% of the vote here versus the 61% of the vote here. So Trump was most popular out over here, but not within here. And we look at the third district. This is intended to be actually. No, I'm wrong. This is the third district right here, and Trump does does a little bit better down here. But this is Provo. This is Utah County, and it's also again very conservative for an urban county, but still Trump's and I think this is Evan McMullin's best county as well. Still, you can tell that Trump didn't collapse in 2016. The way that some people feared that he would actually lose the state. But and when you look up here in the 2020 results, he basically recovered here, and this is a pretty decent result for him. But you can tell just how conservative Utah County is. It went for Trump 2-1 in 2020, but yet Romney won it 7-1. So you've got those trends right over there as well. And then finally, you've got this fourth seat, which is Salt Lake City itself. and as well as some of these areas in Summit County that are more ski villages. And this is a very Democratic seat. You can tell Biden wins this by 27 points. So a Democrat that gets elected here would likely be quite a progressive candidate. So overall, I think this is a pretty fair map for the state of Utah.